Welcome, everyone, to the 2025 Esports World Cup. The first time that chess is involved. We are talking about some serious money, some serious stakes. The format is 16 players. Today is day one. 4 people after day one qualify to the quarterfinals. I will tell you those people at the end of this recap. And then tomorrow, people have a chance to re-qualify from the loser's bracket. We're going to get into all of that. $1.5 million. You win this tournament, you get $250,000, which is the highest prize fund except for the World Championship. Even if you finish last, I believe you get $50,000. Something completely ridiculous. That might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that is correct. And let's just get into it. Magnus Carlsen is there. Hikaru Nakamura is there. Fabiano Caruana is there. Alireza Firouzja is there. Nepomniachtchi is there. I mean, you name a top player, they are playing in this event. So we're going to kick things off, of course, in the group of Magnus Carlsen, who is playing alongside Nodirbek Abdusatorov, Fabiano Caruana, and Jan Krzysztof Duda. More on that a little bit later. So, kicking things off with this game. Magnus sits down, plays d4 against Nodirbek. Fun fact, it's 10-minute, no bonus time, which is the most popular time control in the world because you play it more often than anything else on chess.com. Knight f6, c4, e6. They're on these beautiful stages. Magnus repping Team Liquid. Hey, Team Liquid, by the way, if any of you watch this, send me some drip. Oh, I was wearing my hardcore fan shirt earlier, but I changed it. D5, knight c3, and we have an exchange Queen's Gambit decline. Magnus puts the bishop on f4, c6, h3. h3 is a sideline intended to go against playing the bishop to f5 because there are some positions where white can go g4, like right now, but Magnus doesn't do that. The point is just to have the bishop to be able to drop back. He plays a very simple and straightforward, boring game. There is a line here, queen takes b2, bishop f5, queen c3 check. That is possible, but Nodirbek doesn't go for it. Both sides castle. So, Magnus has a Carlsbad pawn structure. White's ideas here include advancement of these pawns, putting this knight on the d3 square in many positions. Black also likes to put the knight on the d6 square. Knight will also maybe go to e5, etc. Here we go. All right. Magnus now plays queen c2, followed by knight e1. As I've told you, the idea is to put the knight on d3 to control the squares over here, because controlling the squares on this side was not so nice. Queen a6. Magnus plays knight d3. Very simple, straightforward repositioning process of the pieces. Black goes a4, looking to take some space. White plays rook fc1. This is galaxy brain stuff. I can't explain this to you. And even if I did, you wouldn't understand it. I'm sorry. I don't get it. Now, in the long run, white again wants to advance the pawns over here. It's called a minority attack. I know how it sounds, but it's because white has less pawns, 3 versus 4. All right. Don't blame me. That's what the chess experts call it. Queen d1, a repositioning. Nodirbek plays bishop f8. Now his rook and knight fight for the center together. Now b4, en passant. But in this case, the en passant was bad. I don't exactly know what Nodirbek should have done instead. The engine wants b5. It gives that the only move, stopping white from advancing and basically securing control over c4. But obviously Nodirbek felt uneasy making such a concession, so he plays pawn takes b3, and now this literal pawn trade right here is all Magnus needs to create just enough wrinkle in the position to get the game going. b4, knight into e4, Magnus trades, and now that pawn is weak. So we go knight c5. We are targeting that pawn, and if you take me, I'm going to take back and make progress into your position. Like, if you played knight c5, I would have taken with the b pawn, put the rook on b1, and then you would have had a serious set of weaknesses. So now, this is all Magnus is doing. He's asking questions, and he has a 1.5 minute time advantage. Knight to d5, he goes knight takes e4, gives up the pawn, and puts the knight right back on c5, going back to work. Takes, pawn takes. 1 pawn versus 2. Will Magnus successfully apply positional pressure as he has done throughout his entire career on Nodirbek? Queen centralizes, bishop d4, very nice and solid. Queen g4, we're going to a rook and bishop versus rook and knight endgame with 5 pawns each and a slight time advantage for white. Knight c7, Magnus is now going to do what's called massaging. He's going to massage the position. f4, brings the king. Blocks the second rank from the rook. h6, king f3. There's nothing here. It's the draw. Rook a2, e4. There's nothing here. It's a draw. There's nothing here. Magnus is even already trying to trade off the rooks. Neuderbach doesn't even do that. And Magnus, okay, he's obviously not getting anywhere. And all of a sudden, Neuderbach blunders. Neuderbach here had to go g5 on passant. He goes here. Now Magnus is winning the pawn. And it's worse than that. He's checkmating the black king. Out of nowhere. Out of nowhere, Neuderbach is losing. He just has a rook for a knight now. Completely out of nowhere. Magnus just applied a little bit of pressure, kept his minute time advantage. Remember, there's no bonus time. You get no bonus time. There's nowhere to run. Rook c5, rook b8. He gets to the king. Neuderbach has to sack material. Game over. White has 2 pawns. That's all he needs. Pretty soon, he's going to win the pawn. The knight has to move. You're going to win the pawn. You're going to keep applying pressure. Neuderbach resigns. Magnus Carlsen, 97% accuracy win to start off the Esports World Cup. Now, it is a best of 2. All right? Very simple and straightforward. If it's 1-1, they have to play an Armageddon where they bid for their time. All right, Neuderbach is not going to go down without a fight. He's a fighter. D4. He's not going to go down without a fight. He's a fighter. Jeez. Eloquent caster here. Takes. We have a scotch. Knight c6, bc. They don't actually allow them to bring that to the arena, but queen e2, knight to d5, knight d2, a5, g3, g6, bishop g2, bishop g7, c4, and bishop a6. Castles, knight f3. Knight drops back to the b6 square. Magnus putting some pressure on the c4 pawn, and b3. Now, this is just a pure Scotch main line. Like, this has been played many times before. Bishop b2. How is Neuderbach going to beat the best player in the world? Rook e1, Magnus, rook e8. Nice and simple. Bishop g5. He makes one move. Magnus goes f6. Now black is better. Just one move. Took one move out of the opening. Bishop g5 was the wrong move. Now you have to back up. Now I take the pawn. You take. Knight d7. The bishop is attacked. There's a pin. Neuderbach is simply down a rook for a bishop. He is not going to be making a comeback in this game. Knight here. Sorry, bishop here. Before you know it, Magnus takes over, starts trading down the material on the left side of the board. c5 is a wonderful move. If bishop takes, we're just trading. And then at the end of it, I'm going to give this pawn away and try to promote this pawn. And just like a machine, Magnus here doesn't even need to play for a win. All he needs to do is clinch a draw. He's trying to invade on the first rank. He has a 3-minute time advantage. And he ends this game very simply. Rook b1, rook d2, rook e2. And the players repeat the moves. Of course, Magnus could have played for a win, but that's it. Neuderbach has been eliminated from the winner's bracket. This was the first matchup. Magnus, smooth sailing. He's going to be back. I'm going to show you his matchup against Jan Krzysztof Duda. But first, we're going to pop over to Hikaru Nakamura, and then we're going to come back to Magnus. Then we're going to look at some Levon Aronian, Andrei Esipenko, Jan nepomniachtchi, Arjun Erigaisi, Nihal Sarin. Literally monsters. All monsters across the board. All right. This Hikaru versus Sindarov game, absolutely bananas. e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6. A Spanish, Hikaru plays the exchange Spanish. Possible. Okay, it's legal. h3, d3. I don't know why this is given a miss. I think there's a line here. White can play g4 and then take this pawn. I mean, game review's dumb. Bishop d6, knight d2. And now black plays f6 and c5. So it's a very odd position. All right. Now, c3, a3. White is just trying to maybe advance on the left side of the board, maybe in the middle. We have a5. Sindarov totally shutting that down. Both guys taking a lot of time. Each thought is about 30 seconds. They're really not going to have all this time. And now Hikaru makes a break in the middle. 7 minutes each. Pawn takes. Pawn takes. No, he doesn't take. d5. Sealing off the position. Now castles by Sindarov. So Hikaru's got a 1-minute time advantage. What's he going to do with it? Sindarov is obviously trying to prepare a break on the other side of the board. Hikaru rook c1. Everything is in place. Everything's in place for this break to happen. Or maybe not. Maybe Sindarov has changed this plan. He's down to 4 minutes. He's not playing c6. He plays a4. Okay. Hikaru can continue to make increment. Hikaru here could have just played something like queen d2, knight e3, rook c1. He could have just kept it the same with 1:40 on the clock. In fact, in retrospect, maybe he should have done that. Because when he goes here, suddenly in comes Queen F8. You got to realize, Sindarev had time to think, and Hikaru spends a minute on this move, and this move is played in 1 second. And suddenly, Black takes over the game. Bishop B3. Sindarev 210 versus 338, and he is better versus Hikaru. Queen F3. Rook C7. Rook C2 was a bit better with 2 minutes on the clock. Both guys now deep in the tank. Knight B5. Black is better, but two minutes remaining. Now suddenly Hikaru's down 20 seconds on the clock. Kicks him out. Sindarev is taking over the game. Queen E7, 136 to 122, but Hikaru is the much better player in the scrambles. No disrespect to Sindarev. Knight G5, but Black is winning. King G2, less than 1 minute on the clock. Hikaru has 56 seconds. No bonus. No bonus time in case you're wondering, in case you can't listen. Knight C3 back, Knight C5. Black is just up a clean pawn, but suddenly there's some counterplay, some questions. Still a 20-second lead on the clock for Black. Rook E3. Now the move F5 wins. It just wins, and Black can start grabbing pawns and maybe another pawn. But Sindarev goes here. Now the time gap is only 5 seconds. Now it's 14. G5 here. Hikaru Queen G4. The rook is hanging if you take the knight. He goes here. Now Black is down on time. Queen D7. Knight E4. Unbelievable. Bishop back to E6, but he goes Bishop D5. The wrong move. Now the king gets out of the pin. Takes. Knight C5. Queen F3. Black is still much better, but there's 27 seconds, and you have to beat the clock. And before you know it, -3. Over the next few moves, a completely insane time scramble breaks out where Hikaru, out of nowhere, conjures up counterplay against the king. Knight E4 takes, King G5, Rook here, King takes, Knight E3, King G5. And Javahir Sindarev blunders checkmate in 1 with 17 seconds on the clock. What's crazy is that he was outmaneuvered in this position. Like, if you go back a little bit to like right here, it was 34 to 37, and Hikaru just played so freaking fast. He had 30 seconds on the clock to 23. That is a massive time disadvantage. 7 seconds this late in the game, and he pulls it out, and he, obviously, even if Sindarev didn't get checkmated with something like a King H5, he's still down 10 seconds. And he loses. And some of you watching this are going to go, well, this is ridiculous. But this is chess as an esport. There's a clock. You got to beat the clock. Everything counts. Mouse speed, reaction time, everything. This is not the chess that some people are used to. This is not the chess that some people want to watch. I don't care. High stakes chess. There you go. Now, Hikaru then moved on to face Alireza Firouzja, and they made it to an Armageddon. Firouzja knocked out, in the first round, Wei Yi. He didn't knock him out, but Wei Yi. By the way, this is a matchup of the Saudi esports team, the Falcons. So both of these players are playing against each other. This is Armageddon. So Alireza bid 648 or 647 for the Armageddon. Hikaru just wanted the white pieces. He just wanted to play for a win. And sometimes to play for a win, you have to play for a loss. Hikaru goes F4, and after pawn takes F4, very quickly realizes after a minute and a half thought, he did not play the right opening, and suddenly, within the first 10 moves, Alireza Firouzja has planted a horse and a bishop square in white's territory and is completely winning. Queen C1, Knight G2. This is the position. Firouzja is up 2 pawns and has closed the time gap to around 2 minutes. Unbelievable. I looked at this like, yo, it looks like Firouzja just broke into the store in the middle of the night, just took whatever he wanted. Rook to G1, Hikaru going for some sort of counterplay because Black in an Armageddon has the draw odds. Queen B4, Bishop F3, but in Hikaru fashion, the madman crawls back to an equal game. Bro, how is that even possible? Queen back here, Queen A7. Alireza can create some counterplay, but the king is running away, and there's all sorts of threats on Black. B6, and Hikaru is better if he plays King to F2, which is, I don't even understand. King F2, apparently, he doesn't play that. He plays H3, and now Black is back in the game, but Alireza runs the king! And he's trying to trap the queen. Hikaru blunders. Hikaru plays Knight G5. I guess I think Hikaru saw a long sequence of moves here. Queen D5, here, and if the queen is trapped, you have Rook F7, but after a very long sequence, white is losing. This is the sequence. Here, takes, the knight is trapped. I think Hikaru simply forgot about this move. He just forgot that his knight is trapped at the end of the sequence. He looked at this sequence, knight g5. This entire sequence, Alireza is winning. And Alireza now has to convert the game. He has 1:46 with no bonus time. Very good, you're paying attention. It got close, man. Hikaru won nearly all of Firouzja's pawns, but in these types of endgames, all you need is one. And Black held on to his one pawn. It was a draw, but it doesn't even matter. Here, by the way, Alireza had knight a6, rook a5 mate, which was kind of crazy. But even though it was very tense, he got down to 36 seconds versus 212. Alireza clutched the game right here. He kept going. He kept checking Hikaru. Hikaru grabbed a pawn in the 80th move of the game, maybe even the 90th move of the game. Yeah, right here. He grabs the pawn, and this is a draw because rook d4 forces a rook trade. If Hikaru wanted a chance to actually save the game, he had to go here and try to flag Firouzja. 20 seconds, maybe he got there, but unlikely. And ultimately, Firouzja qualifies to the quarterfinals, along with, you know, a guy we're about to, a guy you might recognize. So Firouzja beats Wei Yi and Hikaru. Hikaru drops down to play the winner of the match, Sindarov Wei Yi, which will happen tomorrow. Well, we're going to look at the bracket. Don't worry about it. Magnus moves on to face Duda. Magnus played Duda in the semi-final of the World Blitz Championship. D4, C4. This was an amazing game. So it was a Catalan, queen a4 check, knight f3, knight c3. He's like, I'm not going to take the pawn back on c4. I don't want it. I don't want to take the pawn back. c5, bishop f4. This is like Dubov inspired. Knight to d5. He trades and long castles in a Catalan. I implore any chess researcher, find a Catalan where white castled queenside. I straight up think there's like 10 in history. Like, I really don't think this has ever happened. Catalan, white castles queenside. What? b5. Crazy. Queen back to c2. What is this? Bishop b7 is apparently a mistake because white can explode the center. That's what he does. How is this possible? Bishop here. Magnus now begins opening the center. Rook e1. The king is going to go over here very quickly. Bishop f6. Now bishop d6 is the best move, attacking the rook. Duda sacrifices material to try to play d3. Magnus like, no. Too dangerous. Now white has two bishops. Rook is hanging. Pawn is promoting. Queen f6. This is now the best move. Magnus plays it, threatening a checkmate. h6 and bishop e7, or you can take. Magnus takes. Rook back to f4 is the best move now, centralizing, advancing the pawn at the right moment. Rook f4, rook d4, maybe a queen trade to go to the endgame. We're going to maybe, you know, protect against the knight. Nice. Queen d2, queen f4 is incoming. Queen e3 also very good. And now bishop g2. And this is over because there are too many things to protect in the black position. Bishop g2, rook d8, queen c5. Should be easy now. Should be easy. Except Duda is called Polish fighter for a reason. And suddenly there is counterplay against the weak white king. Magnus gets a winning position again if he plays rook c3. He does, but that's a mistake. And the game hovers around equality now after queen e1 check. Duda with the comeback. Queen d1 back, queen f2. Black is somehow picking up a million pawns here. And this is a draw. Queen e4, queen d5. That you can't play. You have to go like queen d5 and just not move. Queen guards f7 and b3, and black has a fortress, which is, I mean, okay. But he goes here, and after a check and queen b1, there's a queen trade. Duda miss queen b1. But if he didn't do this, I mean, anything could have happened. Magnus, though, immediately clutch, finds this in 5 seconds, and now this is easy because you remove the bishop and you start pushing the pawn. And that's it. If here, check, sack the rook for the bishop, promote the pawn. And they played one more. But this one was, no, there was some adventures. It was, you know, it was Magnus playing, obviously, to not lose with black. It was an Italian. He's one of the best practitioners of e4, e5 in the world. Actually, a little bit later in the middle game, Duda was better. Like, Duda built up a pretty decent advantage right here. But the position was completely nuts. He had to play knight g4. You can't take the knight for various tactical reasons. I don't even fully understand those tactical reasons. But Knight f5 was played instead, and Magnus struck right back. A queen counterattack. And if this, the knight would to take and to fork. And so after this, Magnus easily converted his position. It was equal for a while, then he had a couple of winning chances, but smooth sailing, just like in the second Noiterbek game. Sometimes you don't need to play for a win, you just have to play not to lose. And he didn't lose, he had a near 3-minute time advantage at the end. Magnus Carlsen moving on to the quarterfinals as well. Now, we go over to some of the other groups. We got group with Levon Aronian, Vladislav Artemiev, Yan nepomniachtchi, Andrei Esipenko. Esipenko, a replacement of Vladimir Fedoseev, who for some reason had to withdraw from the event. I don't know why. I don't know what happened. I just saw the announcement. And he was, you know, yeah, he was replaced by Esipenko, who had a good time in the qualifiers. This game was ridiculous. So this was the game that kicked everything off. Esipenko, the first game of the day, or the second game of the day, plays Jobava London, plays h4, g4, rook b1, g5, as chess is supposed to be played. Knight e4. And Jan was playing so fast, man. I mean, I was like shocked at Jan's speed. Look at Jan's time, 9:36, c5. I mean, he's just playing so quick. Esipenko was trying to keep up, trying not to get blown off the board purely on time. But I gotta tell you, he got a great position. He had two very powerful bishops pointing at the side of the board. He had very good pressure. Jan very much kind of playing the position on feel, playing quickly, intuitively. But Esipenko was in good shape. Jan was fighting off his advantages, though, man. I mean, early on in this game, Esipenko would build up an advantage, and then watch this. Like, it's +1, +1, +1, and it's back to equal. It's back to equal, and Jan has a 2-minute time advantage. Playing Jan is so tough. He puts so much clock pressure, you know? Bishop f2, and this was equal. It was just an equal endgame. Even though black is down a pawn, like, white can't really do anything to prove that that pawn is superior. But Esipenko will get his chances. He's trying to play quickly. Jan is also trying to play quickly. He's going to lose a pawn on the queen side like this. 227 to 357, right? We're not even halfway done with the game. Game is 46 moves done. We're not even halfway done. Look at this. Watch what's going to happen. 327 to 219. Esipenko, no matter how fast he plays, Jan is just playing faster. Rook b5. Now Jan creates counterplay with his pawns. Apparently here it becomes a draw again. Right here, it becomes a draw if black plays g4. Jan doesn't play g4. He plays h3 in 4 seconds. Esipenko has 106 to win this endgame. You know how he has to win this endgame? Rook f6 here. Not king g4. He had to play king g3. King e2. Now he plays rook f3 and promotes a pawn. He's going to promote a pawn and make queen versus rook. With 53 seconds, he needs to win this endgame. Yo, this is not easy. This is not easy. 53 seconds on the clock. He has to win this endgame. He has 50 moves. All right? 40 seconds. 39 seconds. He's shuffling. Jan defending very well, but at some point, the black king is going to get pushed. Queen b... Okay, there was a win here. He could have went queen b4 and won the rook. This, Esipenko now is going to very quickly trend into 30-second territory. Rook c5, queen e6. It's been some 20-30 moves. Queen a2, queen d2. Esipenko 25 seconds on the clock, but the king is on the back rank. It's winning for white. We have now crossed 100 moves. And Andrei Esipenko finds a way to get this king all the way to the corner. He had 15 seconds on the clock. Here, and now it's over. 112 moves here. When did they get into this endgame? Move 114. It was 44 moves. According to the 50-move rule, if Jan had survived 6 more moves, it would have been a draw. But he doesn't. And not only that, in this position after the rook is captured, Esipenko has 11 seconds to mate. Which, you know, for us dudes is pretty easy. He does it in 5 seconds. There you go. King to b6, and Esipenko had to play a final match of the group against Levon Aronian. And this was the best game of the day. He played the Jobava London again. Levon played c5, traded, played a6. I like this line a lot. Knight f3, knight c6, knight e5. All standard. e6, rook c8. White castled queenside, and Levon was like, okay, fantastic. I have the bishop, I have the rook, I have the queen. Everything is nice. Now I'm going to trade. Kaboom. Levon Aronian, a man after my own heart, sacrifices the rook. And the point is very simple. After you trade, I win a pawn like this, and I win this pawn with check. White completely cannot defend the position. It's insane. Like, black has not developed anything, but black is winning. Rook e1, bishop a3 check. Levon picks up a couple of pieces. The white king, by the way, frozen. Can't move out of the corner. Castles. Brings the rook. Brings the bishop back. Attacks the rook. Creates a threat against the king. Rook c5. Rook a5 is mate. And in this position, Esipenko resigned. Levon played this game at 99.2% accuracy. And he beats Esipenko 2-0 after winning the previous matchup against Artemiev. Levon is in the quarterfinals. Levon is wrapped up top 8 in this event. This man is like, he's the oldest player in the field. He shouldn't even know how to use a mouse. That's a joke. Levon is coming off the win in Las Vegas. If you don't know the story of Levon Aronian, this dude was in the candidates 4 times, I think. His peak rating is 2835. He has a top 5 highest rating ever. Might be even number 4, if I'm not mistaken. It's insanity. Now we go over to the final group, which is Group B, and I will show you Arjun Erigaisi versus Maxim Vachier-Lagrave. Okay? First, I will show you Maxim Vachier-Lagrave versus Anish Giri. Look at this game. It was a Petrov from Anish Giri. MVL surveying his usual e4 business. He loves to play e4. He only plays e4. Isolated pawn position. All normal Petrov stuff. As you see from the time management, both guys quite familiar with the position. And now, black will take over a little bit in this middle game. With a little bit of patient play. Good defending. Rook c7, a slight inaccuracy. a6, very nice counterattacking move. And black was slightly better through these complications, but white had a very powerful queen side, right? White has these pawns. And so the major thing is here, if the queens get traded, white is just going to win. If you trade many pieces, these pawns are going to be too strong in the endgame with the support of a rook. That's just what's going to happen. Giri plays knight e5, and now, you know, MVL's like, well, I have a lot of pawns. I'm going to push them. Bishop e2 defends. a5. a6. I've now pushed the pawn 3 times. Bishop c5. Queen a4. You know, somehow you just let the pawn go. You try to create a little bit of counterplay. It's not good enough. Queen f4 threatens this, and rook b8. Everything is threatened. Rook c5 is not exactly threatened, but the queen can't move somewhere to defend the bishop. So he tries to go all in. He sacrifices, but it's just not good enough. The white king now walks around the board, has a smoke, whatever a Parisian does, which is smoke a lot. And white wins. White wins because you're just simply queening. Unbelievable. Incredible game from MVL, who knocked out Anish Giri. Meanwhile, Arjun Erigaisi knocked out Nihal Sarin from the early matchups. And they made it to an Armageddon. This one was a bishop g5, knight to e4 line. Now, fun fact. This exact line, sacrificing the bishop, was played about 3 days ago. Literally, this is how cutting-edge chess is. I bet you didn't even know about this game. In the matchup called Clash of Generations, which I played in Battle of Generations. They did Clash of Generations between the Turkish prodigy Erdogmus and Svidler, Peter Svidler, 8-time Russian champion. And they play this line, and Erdogmus with white beat Svidler in about 20 moves. The game went h4, trapping the knight. And then in this position, black went queen d8. That's not the best move. The best move is queen a5. MVL chose queen d6. Erigaisi played h5. And so now we are playing in pure cutting-edge territory. This is how modern computers play. They push pawns as deep as possible like this to target bishops. Bishop f6, solid. Queen b3. This is Erigaisi is playing like a modern-day AI. Knight d7. Now the knight goes to e4 attacking. Again, it's Armageddon. So if black makes a draw, black wins. That's hence the time disadvantage. Rook c1 was wrong. Apparently you needed to play knight fd2. I don't know why. c6. He's still not playing knight fd2, but at least his position is very active. And now MVL's just like, he's just looking to king e2. With no queens on the board, how on earth is white going to win this game? He just has a 3-minute time advantage, which is a lot of time, but how are you going to win this game? Erigaisi just starts walking his king forward. Rook c5. Erigaisi kind of playing this like Magnus Carlsen. You know, he's just kind of like making little incremental improvements, waiting for the opponent to fall apart. MVL not budging. Erigaisi looking for complications. Rook c5. He's stalling a little bit. He wants black to get low on time to start feeling a little bit of that pressure. Knight d5, rook b3. Look, Erigaisi's not making a breakthrough. He's not doing anything. 340. Rook c5. At some point, he's going to have to he's going to have to do something. Knight f6. Shuffling. 327, 324. Time is going down. He's going to have to trade. He's going to have to trade or push the pawn. Trade or push the pawn. This is not going to last forever. Black down to 256 to 451. Erigaisi's stalling. Stalling. Looking for a moment. b5. There it is. He's finally gone for it. 435 to 250. Pawn takes. Pawn takes. Knight d6. Rook a1. Uh-oh. Suddenly there's pressure. MVL plays here. Takes. Discovered check, but he's going to win that pawn. That pawn's gone. Rook b6 is going to pick up that pawn, or maybe not. Oh, but now king d2 and e4. The pressure is never over. Suddenly, rook c2, a5. Erigaisi is just ripping apart the position. Black doesn't have enough time to react to everything, and suddenly, instead of bishop f5, you needed to go rook g1, rook g7. I don't know how findable that is. Bishop f5, rook g1, but here we go. MVL makes a mistake. Bishop e6 is crazy. With the pin, bishop d5 is there. The f-pawn is also marching up the board while the rook is covering here. Rook c7, f5, bishop d5, rook b8. The king is forced to the edge of the board. And f6. And black simply cannot defend the knight, the promotion of the pawn, and ladder checkmate. Knight d7, but this is simply the end of the game. And Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, in a very tense back-and-forth game, goes down. An amazing game from Erigaisi, who has secured a top 8 spot. Levon, Erigaisi, Firouzja, Magnus, and tomorrow we will determine who else makes it. Take a look. Levon qualifies. Esipenko awaits the winner of Nepo versus Artemiev. Okay, and now in Group B, Erigaisi qualifies. MVL awaits the winner of Giri Sarin. Firouzja qualifies. Hikaru awaits the winner of Wei Sindarov. He might have to play Sindarov twice. Like, some of these matchups might have to happen twice. Magnus qualifies. Duda versus the winner of Caruana versus Abdustarov. It is intense stuff. The prize fund is crazy. Like I said, high stakes chess. You talk about it. I'll go here before we sign off for today. What are the prizes? Yeah, you can literally get last place and win 50 grand. I mean, it's wild stuff, man. Wild, wild stuff. And then each player is on a team, and the teams can win this much money. Look at this money. This is crazy. Absolutely crazy. Very cool to see chess in the Esports World Cup. I wish nothing but the best to the players over the next couple of days. That's all I have for you today. Get out of here.